All right, at this point, I think we're pretty good at solving them. So let's just work on setting these up. We won't solve these all the way through, but we'll just set them up, okay? So here it says the sum of the squares. So the sum of the squares of two consecutive integers is 25. So first of all, sum of the squares. So that means we're going to add them and square them, right? We're going to raise them to the second power. So we have two consecutive integers. So we have x being the first integer and x plus 1 being the second, right? And so we're going to add them and we're going to square them, right? So it's the sum of the squares. So I'm going to say x squared plus x plus 1 squared, right, is 25. So that means equals 25. Okay? So the sum of the squares of the first, or of two consecutive integers, right? Okay, so I think you got it from there. We've done these before, so you're going to expand this and then combine like terms, subtract 25 from both sides to get it equal to 0. Get that side equal to 0, and then you can factor and go from there. All right, so this one says the sum of two integers is 25, and the sum of their squares is 313. So if the sum of two integers is 25, if one integer is x, so one integer, that means if the sum is 25, the other one has to be 25 minus x, right? Like if one is 10, if you do 25 minus 10, you get 15, so the other one has to be 15, right? All right, so the other integer. Okay, so those are two integers, the sum of their squares. So if I square x and then I sum, so I'm going to add the square of the other one, 25 minus x, that gets me 313, right? Okay, so let's do this one just a little bit just to see, because this one's a little different with 25 minus x. So I'm going to do 25 minus x times itself. And so I'm going to distribute there, or FOIL. To 25 times 25 is 625. 25 times negative x is negative 25x. 25, or negative x times 25 is negative 25x. And negative x times negative x is positive x squared. We get equals 313. And bring the x squared down here. So it's really not that much different, right? Pretty much the same thing. We're going to combine these like terms. Okay, then we're going to combine these like terms. Then we'll subtract 313 from both sides. Okay, so I'll let you take it from there. It's actually not that much different. Just wanted to try it out a little bit, see if it was significantly different. This one we have the product of two consecutive even integers, right? So remember, even integers, if the first one is x, then the second one would be x plus 2. Okay, so the product of two consecutive even integers, so we're going to multiply x times x plus 2, and that's going to be 34 larger than their sum. So that means it's going to be their sum, which is what I get when I add them together. And it's 34 larger than that. So I'm going to do their sum plus 34. Okay. So a product of two consecutive even integers is 34 larger than their sum, right? If I add them together. Okay. Let's do this one just for a second as well. So distribute there. So we get x squared plus 2x equals. Here we actually don't need the parentheses. We can just combine like terms. The reason why is because there's nothing in front there. And there's no negative. It's just a positive 1 basically in front, invisible positive 1. And so we don't even need the parentheses. So it'll be 2x, 2x plus 2 plus 34, or excuse me, I forgot to combine those like terms. And so it'll be plus 36. Okay, and then now we want to get one side to be 0. So here we could get either side to be 0, but I want to keep x squared positive. So since x squared is positive on the left, I'm actually going to keep it over there, and I'm going to move everything over to that side. And so we get x squared, these cancel out, right? Minus 36 equals 0. So that's as far as we can go. Well, that's what we get. A lot of stuff cancels out, right? And so now that we have one side equal to 0, now we can try to factor here. So we don't have any GCF. So we're just going to set up our parentheses. And since it's a binomial, we want to check for a difference of two squares, right? These are both perfect squares. This is a difference. And so it fits. And so we can put an x here. Take the square root of 36, that's 6. Put a plus and a minus, all right? And then we can go to the answer. It's x equals negative 6 or x equals positive 6. So it says, what are the integers? Negative 6 and 6. All right, and finally we have this interest question. So remember, we've done these interest questions before, but we did them where this was 1 because it was just 1 year. But now that we know how to do quadratics, we can actually do what happens in 2 years, okay? And so, anyway, they give us the average rate of return, and they give us this formula, right? And that's just the formula we've used before, right? And this is the formula: amount equals principal times 1 plus the interest rate to the nth power, and n is the number of compounds, basically, or the number of years in this case, okay? So we have 2 years, 1 plus r on the inside as usual. We know that our principal is 16,000. That's what we start with, right? And then we end up with, or we want to end up with 25,000, okay? And so to solve this, no big deal, right? We've done this type of thing before. What we would do first is we'd expand the 1 plus r squared. We want to multiply it by itself, okay? Now, while we're doing that, one thing you might want to do is, since we can do anything we want to an equation, we can divide everything by 1,000, right? And that'll get rid of that, and that'll get rid of that. So if you want to, you don't even have to write dividing by 1,000, but dividing by 1,000 will get rid of all those zeros, okay? So then I have 16. Well, let me FOIL first. Sorry about that. So we have 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times r is 1r. R times 1 is 1r. And r times r is r squared, right? So I'm going to combine like terms. And by the way, if you want to bring everything down, the 16's there, the 25's there. Don't forget the parentheses if you bring the 16 down. So before I distribute the 16, I'm going to combine like terms inside here. That way I have fewer things to multiply by. So I'm going to put the r squared in first. So it's going to be r squared plus 2r plus 1. Okay, so I basically reverse the order there. And then the 16's there. Equals 25. So then now we can distribute. So we get 16r squared plus 32r plus 16 equals 25. So now we subtract 25 from both sides to get one side to be 0. And so we get 16r squared plus 32r minus 9 equals 0. Look for a GCF. There's not one, so we have to multiply 9 by 16. We get 144. And we're looking for numbers we can multiply to get 144 that we can subtract to get 32, okay? So 16 and 9, we could start with those. And if we subtract 9 and 16, we get 7. So we need to get those further apart, right? So I want to check a smaller number with 9 and a bigger number than 16. So 144 divided by 8 is going to be 18. So 18 minus 8 is 10, so we're getting closer, but we're not there yet. So now I'm going to check, does 7 go in? And it doesn't. It comes out to a decimal. Does 6 go in? Yeah, it does. It goes in 24 times. 24 minus 6 is not 32, but we're getting closer. So then I'm going to check 5. 5 doesn't go in because it doesn't end in a 5 or a 0. 4 does go in. Goes in 36 times. 36 minus 4. Ding, 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 ding. There's our winners, right? So now we have R here, 4 here, 36 here. This tells us the sign of the bigger number. This tells us if the signs are the same or different. When it's negative, the signs are different, so the other one's going to be negative. Then we take our A and we divide by it. And so we end up with 4 over 16, which reduces to 1/4. The 4 goes in front, the 1 stays. 36 over 16, let's see, 4 is a common factor, so we get 9 over 4. 4 goes in the front, the 9 sticks around. So it's going to be 4r minus 1 times 4r plus 9 equals 0. And then our final answers are r equals, get this number but the opposite, so it's going to be positive 1. And then we put this on the bottom. Okay, and then we get r equals opposite of this, so that's going to be negative 9. Put this on the bottom, so it's going to be 4. All right, so those are possible values there.